Thanks, Bob. Those of you who have been with us since we were at Cover to Cover Books will be familiar with our next reader, and we're happy to have him here again. Please say hello to Alex. Come on up, Alex.
Good evening. You ever get that feeling where you were very aware of what you knew to be true, but you hadn't actually internalized it? And you kind of stumble into it later and you're like, oh yeah, I knew that all along. But why wasn't I the person that knew that? So I wrote this down. It's called Quantum. I finally know what I'd known for years. I wasn't the man who knew until now. It's quantum, and I'm a dead man walking. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm already there, and if I live in the past, it's because I'm present. It's quantum, and I'm a dead man walking. This is Crossing Part 1. Further parts to come in the future. She only talked to me when I stood just so. Introductions again. She told me that she forgot where she was, who she was. She blacks out. She couldn't remember my name. We talked cigarettes. She's been leaving soon for days. And I say, when you get out of here, when you're outside these walls, don't forget yourself. Don't forget those cigarettes, and chuck them to me in a Ziploc thrown with stones.
Good to have you back. And now we're going to hear from Neil Aitken. Am I saying that correct? And I'm fairly certain this is the first time that Neil has read for us here, so a warm welcome for Neil Aitken.
It's good to be here. This is actually, technically, I think my first open mic in this state. Wow. I moved here from Los Angeles about a month, maybe almost a month and a half ago, so. So brand new to this state. I'm going to read two poems. First poem is from my first book of poetry, which actually has a picture of the wreck of the Peter Iredale on it, so I kind of claim the Pacific Northwest through that. But this poem has nothing to do with that, though. This is called Traveling Through the Prairies, I Think of My Father's Voice. Two things to know. One, my father passed away back in 2007 from Lou Gehrig's disease, from ALS. And number two, he and I had identical voices. People could not tell us apart. And so after his death in British Columbia, my mother and I drove from BC back to Saskatchewan, where I'd spent most of my childhood, to visit friends. And traveling across the plains, I was thinking about this. Traveling through the prairies, I think of my father's voice. How we must have seemed like twins over the phone. My father speaking with my voice, I speaking with his. Some strange accident of genetics, or the unchecked influence of mockingbirds and mimeographs. I have heard two trains sound almost alike till they passed, like the one last night bending westward, the other slowing to a halt, the earth shuddering and the dark between, while the stars held their place overhead, 1,000 points of tin and fire. Had it been day, I might have seen to the far faded edge of nowhere, or whatever town lies wakeless there. Here, the wind sounds the same, blown from any direction, full of dust, pollen, the deep toll of church bells rung for mass, weddings, deaths. Coming through on the straight road, The land seems especially bare this year, although the fields are still green with new stalks of wheat, rye, canola. Someone has been taking down the grain elevators one by one, striking their weathered wooden frames from the skyline, leaving only small metal bins. The way the disease took him by degrees, the body jettisoning what it could, his arms and legs, his grin, his laugh, his voice. In the end, only his eyes, their steel doors opening and closing while the storm rattled within, and his breath, the body's voice, repeating the only name it knew, sigh after sigh, a lullaby sung to a restless child on a heaving deck, a hush we only learn in the quiet dark, long after the boat has gone and the waves have ceased. Thank you for staying so late. I know we've had such a massively talented list of people tonight. Grateful to be here. The second poem is called List. In a prior life, I used to be a computer games programmer. And so the joke that poets don't know math is actually incorrect. I minored in mathematics. Yeah, very strange story. I just finished a PhD in literature and creative writing, so now I've got both bases covered. This is called List, and it's part of a series of poems in my second book, which is coming out next year, which are inspired by programming terms. And so this is List, an ordered set of data elements, each containing a link to its successor. And I thought, these words, they operate both in the world of programming, but they're also words we use in our day-to-day lives. So I try to reinvent the programming definitions in lyric poetry. Here is a strange symmetry, an awkward holding of hands, this marched chain of gestures, how nothing begins without an arrow shot into the dark, without the movement of old trees drunk in the wind, unsettling themselves from the earth, a coordinated leaning and fall, or how men gather at the edge of a burning building, buckets in hand, passing along the gift of water to the mouth filled with flame, and how we erase ourselves in such moments, become mere machine, an assemblage of anonymous parts, a blur of arms, hands, heads, our eyes stinging with cinder and heat, and above us, the articulate chaos of birds turning in unison, unbound by wires, carried forward by whatever lurks in the imperceptible change in the air, and afterward, how we take stock, everything in a pile, an interrupted story, an unchecked name, a number to be verified, catalog, inscribed in pen or marked on a gravestone next to another and another. How what goes inside any container becomes invisible until it is spilled, until it is carried at last to its destination and opened, like a package sent from a world removed. How it might hold anything, an unpaired shoe, a handful of nails, a toy rocket, a series of lines, a bit of code written to burst into flower. Thank you.
And now another regular from our days back on Cover to Cover, and I'm talking about Cover to Cover when I was just up the street from where we are now. We haven't seen him for a while, but we're glad to have him here again. Please say hello to Kyle David Congdon. Come on down.
So, I haven't done this in a while, and I don't really use the microphone. I promise that's not as pretentious as it sounds, I swear, I promise. Or is it? Just judge me afterwards. I think I brought poetry, it's right here. So Chris was saying something, if you remember, about receipts. And he's right, I didn't bring a poem. If I was really clever, I could turn this into a poem. It'll be a very short poem. It's about what my poetry is worth, 26 cents a yen. Thank you. So some of you, if you've been coming here for a while, will probably remember a lot of this stuff because I don't really write good stuff anymore. This first poem is, the title of this is called Stolen Lines, and my friend was talking about salmon and how they make migrations for breeding. And so I took their words and I made them mine, and that's okay because I'm telling you all now. When baby salmon swim to the ocean, backwards and forwards and mouths of rivers, I weep to the ocean that knows no difference, and shed to the stars their own compounded salt, flicked off the ends of fingers skyward, sky highward, uttering curses to old gods and new, even though I know the truth. There is only one, death. And I swear I didn't steal that from Game of Thrones. I wrote this years ago. I didn't take it from Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin is fucking listening to me. So this next poem is called Time, parentheses, I write about this a lot. I am a chance of dirt, a happenstance, a painted horse, an opened mural. I am a liar, a risk, a debt, a gambit. I am a chant, a whisk, a marlin, a liar. I am your children, your secret, your heart, your hidden little lockbox that you keep. I am the mark you call beauty, that you keep below your nose but just above your lip. I am your shame, your naked, not nude shame. I am your guilt and all the falling parts of it. I am the weight you cannot lift, the debt you cannot cheat. I demand your conscience, your health, and the soul your mother made. I command everything. Don't keep me. I am a riddle, a guilty human riddle. This poem's called Solidarity. Oh, now I'm making this epic because I'm taking off my sweater. I'm just hot. If you guys like Charlie Chaplin, you might like this poem. Yes, yes. The hiccup in time that mankind will be is absolutely nothing compared to the birth and death of a star. Or the beauty in the rupture of a moon, this incessant clicking of an orbit gone wild. Why is it everything is always in motion? Humans and sloth, always in motion. Seas to oceans, even lakes, tides to ripples, even tides. What is it keeping everything in some sacred place? The chaos and meaning could be found in the mind's eye, but truly LSD won't cure this headache. We work in galactic fractions of a second. What capable organism are we? Will we grasp information so tightly as to strangle any truth from the matter? Will we think too much and feel not enough? Will Charlie Chaplin's first big speech from his first step out of silence fall on the cynical deaf ears of the rich, or be cast before the blind, jaded eyes of the poor?
Thank you, Kyle. Good to have you back.
You're very welcome. You think you. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
You're welcome. And next we're going to hear from Dennis McBride. Come on, Dennis.
I'm afraid I got out of the mood. No, I've got it. I'd like to dispel the romantic myth that writing poetry is romantic in America. I think it's somewhere below spelling the word of Islam in Kansas. Anyway, I'm very interested in gravity and levity. Called an editorial comment on current events for Gilda Radner. I was against the whole who can marry who controversy, and besides, isn't every heterosexual couple having the same sex as an ex-heterosexual couple? So if they outlaw same-sex marriage, wouldn't they be outlawing all marriages? And besides, if homosexuals are having different sex, not the same sex as heterosexual couples. Why should they be labeled same-sex marriages? They should get their facts straight about being gay before they go making laws. And anyway, I know two bipolar people that married, and they weren't even having the same sex with each other. And really, who does? But also, take the Pope. He's childless and celibate, and so am I. So aren't we having the same non-sex? And maybe we're better off, because sex and love will ruin you quick as look at you. I know, because look at Mrs. Weiner, the wife of that philandering New York politician. She fell in love and had sex, and look what happened to her. She'd have been much better off if she had just said to him, thanks anyway, but I'd rather have a cheeseburger. It was the same with Andrea Yates, the woman who drowned her 5 children. Her husband never had her welfare at heart, not even within sight. And then that's what a jury of her peers did to her. Besides, they were not peers. Not one person on that jury had drowned their children. No, we're better off keeping a safe distance between yourself and others. While we're near that subject, I should say I sent in my resume to the Vatican after the last Pope died to apply for the recent opening for his job. Figuring they might appreciate the opportunity to hire from outside. Well, they didn't even have the decency to respond, I guess because I was only at the unemployment door, not death door. But that's the thing about them. They're really more into death than life, and they should not pass unnoticed that whatever else God is, she or he is also a serial killer, which is another reason I said to begin with that I was against the whole marriage debate thing. Who really cares when you're trying to evade a serial killer God? I'm very interested in rescue, whatever that, and it's difficult to nail it down. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Shoplifting. Hello and welcome to the exciting world of shoplifting. First, I want to congratulate you on adding shoplifting to your life skills. I'm glad you decided not to leave your welfare up to the perverse and personal whims of the free market. Your entrepreneurial attitude and adventuresome spirit is a welcome necessity in today's fast-paced and ruthlessly competitive world. With a continually unstable stock market and declining standard of living, it's more important than ever to have alternative potentials available in your survival portfolio. Whether you're looking toward shoplifting as a vacation or just a hobby, you will find the rewards equally satisfying. In fact, the first myth I want to dispel is that shoplifting is dangerous. It's really as safe as driving a car. You just have to remember a few simple rules of the road, most important of which is never drink and shoplift. There's no point in asking for trouble. The biggest mistake beginners make is attitude. I need to emphasize this point because this activity is loaded with negative social imagery. You'll probably have some of that same bias in your own thinking. We all want to start a new venture with our best foot forward, so it's important to remember that other great Americans also had to overcome obstacles before they achieved success, like Larry Flint and Richard Nixon and Madonna. And you can too. Animosity serves no one. Now let's talk about right and wrong. If you shoplift the wrong way and get caught, you'll create unnecessary trouble for everyone, especially since the proprietor is unaware of the damage done to the beginning shoplifter who, being new to the field, has enough uncertainty and self-doubt to contend with without being exposed to the shopkeeper's short-sighted moral posturing, which fails to take into account that the marketplace they are so territorial about. Marketplace that men and women have fought and died to protect all over the world is called the free market. All the fruits of the earth are a free bounty. There is no price tag on the quiet majesty of the pine tree or the feminine grace of the willow. At first, as in any new endeavor, you can expect to feel somewhat nervous, so start your on-the-job training with small, modest items like the popular favorite gummy bears. The good practice here is to break the pack open immediately and let them lie free in your pocket or purse. That act is assertive and says ownership loudly. Over time, you will graduate to larger ticket items like the apparel or the jealously guarded electronic products, and your self-esteem will grow in leaps and bounds just by learning to economize on those many items that are overpriced for profit rather than real consumer need. It's time to send a clear signal this can no longer be tolerated. Gradually, you'll begin to develop an appreciation that you're helping to tear down those cruel divisions between the haves and have-nots, like the former Soviet Union was trying to do, not because of what it was supposed to be, which we are not. One nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from someone else who's reading for us for the first time. So let's give her a lot of love and please say hello to Kalaya. Did I say the name right? Yeah.
Hello. I'm Kalaya, and this is actually my first time reading ever, so. Yeah, be nice. Let's see. So the first one that I like to read is short, and I'll just get right to it. It's called My Debt. My debt owed unto thee is forever lessened than the debt I put upon me. I bear my own chains that I shackled to my own feet, the war-filled depths of a prisoner that a free man cannot see. The hunger of raw blood and raw meat, a taste of this world so harsh and so vain, how a humble man cannot compete. There's no rest for the wicked, and no time to be given away. If time is all we are, then I give you nothing less of anything else that was made by man himself. A petty and a cheap thought, a thought to be set aside for another day. As the addictive personalities group with people, clashing and molding formalities, a selfish heart grows more in debt with itself. How I hope you not only hear, but listen to what I have to say. My brothers, my sisters, mothers and fathers, fulfill my debt owed unto thee, I pray. Yet worry not, my friends, for regret is the only debt we cannot repay. Thank you. This next poem is an experience I had in LA. I heard you were from LA, yeah. It's not as nice. It's not nice, though. It's called The Fast Life. And before I go into it, my generation, I don't know if you guys listen to the radio. Rap is very popular and explicit, and this is kind of my rap back to them. So, yeah, I'm not much of a rapper though. The Fast Life. You're a slave to the worry of tomorrow. Worry of the judgment of others. Every day you feel your sorrow. Asking for one more day, just one more day. You live to die today, but I'd rather die to live tomorrow. How do you count your success, or do you let them do that for you? Something's got to give, so I guess I'll speak true. Consumed by the media, feel you never quite fit the criteria. You aim your goals, prayers, and dreams to prove them all wrong. So you keep playing and writing the same damn song to your sad, sad story. Feeling the anger every day and giving them all your glory. Your sacrifices ain't shit, and all he really cares about is to get another hit of that ass or of that bong. And yep, there you go again, still writing your same damn song. You want it all, and you want it all now, and yet you don't even question how. The shallow howls of the enemies, feeling nothing but the emptiness. Fill it quick. Drugs, sex, money on your mind, a word from the wise. A man is only what he thinks. True Buddha knew, if only so could you. You want peace and happiness? You won't find that here. Just dim your light a little and let the anxiety overtake your fear. Oh, you don't like this? Oh, you don't like that? Here, sip on this and let him feel on you while you feel on her. You're so damn sexy, but so is she, and yep, her too. So what's so damn special about you? Well, I guess that's what she really needs to ask herself. Instead, she hides herself. Caked on makeup and plastic surgery. No, she don't eat, but yeah, she drinks. Girl, you look starving, but more mentally. Love, grace, and gratitude, you can't learn that here. If time is money, then I guess I'm rich. And I choose where to invest mine, and it ain't in this bitch. Y'all ready for the fast life? No, maybe in my last life. This is real, and I say this with respect. But this ain't me, and this ain't you. You're feeling more and more nothing. Bored and dull. Don't give your choices away. You can say no. Here, learn something new and watch me go. You can stare at my ass as you watch me leave. And to that I say, God bless all of you. Wait, he already did. May you bless yourself, maybe one day. Thank you.
I hope that was a good experience for you, and I hope that you come back. We'd love to see you here again. So a couple more to say goodnight. This one's called Strata for Vicki Lynn Wilson, and I did it for my friend Erin Dendrink, who's an artist here in town. She put together a show by Vicki Lynn Wilson and asked me to respond to the work of art. I realized you don't have the work of art, but I've never had a chance really to read this, so I wanted to hear it. Strata. Stone history, written by she, mindful enough to tell the story first. Brave archaeologist, lover of ephemera, surfs the detritus in search of an artifact that will stick, a narrative that rings true. Results in the construction of a towering spiral held together with brick, mud, and magical thinking. Pillar draped in memory's fog, yet translucent enough to let the ghosts sing through. So that's Strata. Pretty sure that you can find her online. Vicki Lynn Wilson. This was I was responding to a sculpture, but what was interesting about it is that I didn't actually see the sculpture. I saw sort of plans for it, sketches and designs for it when I wrote that. So when Tony and I did our honeymoon tour and road trip, we listened to about half of Patti Smith's Just Kids, and she reads the book in the audio version of the book. I had read the book already and loved it, and I think that for a long time I've been talking about Patti Smith. Patti Smith's been on more Ghost Town Poetry open mic flyers than anybody else. She just keeps popping up because every time I find a picture of her, I want to put it on there. And I think I secretly wanted Tony to love her too. And so Tony bought us tickets and we went to see her the last time she was in town, and she was practically giving away these audiobooks, signed copies of the audiobooks. It's like 10 discs. I forget, we probably paid 10 or 20 bucks, but whatever it was plenty, it was just fine. And hearing her read it herself, like with a lot of these things, is perfect, it's great. And she has a second one coming out called The M Train, and she'll be coming back to this area, and I have a ticket already. She'll be here in November for part 2, the second volume of this great memoir that she's been writing. So since I'm a New Yorker who now finds myself out here, this poem is kind of about that, and it's about Patty, and it's about some of my other friends. But what I didn't realize when I picked it out to read to you tonight is that it's also about 9/11. So since we're one day before the anniversary, I think that was my New York heart saying, let's bring this one out and remind people about what was lost and what continues to be lost. The poem is called Bicoastal Devotion, and it starts with a quote from Patti Smith from page 61 for anyone who's reading along. In the war of magic and religion, is magic ultimately the victor? Perhaps priest and magician were once one, but the priest, learning humility in the face of God, discarded the spell for prayer. Robert Mapplethorpe trusted in the law of empathy, by which he could, by his will, transfer himself into an object or a work of art, and thus influence the outer world. He did not feel redeemed by the work he did. He did not seek redemption. He sought to see what others did not, the projection of his imagination. Patti Smith. I have an image of the Virgin in my home, a memory of Truck Darling in my heart, not the first kept woman to have found her salvation in Islam. Have formed allegiance in a second to Cedar Saigo, Robert Mapplethorpe, and Patti Smith, pressed together in my bag, entwined limbs, commingled hearts, entangled in a demigod's embrace. This is Patti again. There were temptations and witches and demons we never dreamed of, and there was splendor we only partially imagined. Page 288. Look on as moments blossom, bear fruit, wither, and die, only to be replaced by further moments. Our friendship continues to open like a calla lily, forming a canopy in which to catch the sun. When at last all our moments have come to an end, look over your shoulder again to glimpse the kids we are and were. Playing dress up, listening to the Velvet Underground, digging Larry Rivers and Stan Brakhage, standing arm in arm on the Coney Island boardwalk, smiling for endless snapshots. No time to mourn. Undaunted, unbowed, faraway towers burst through concrete to shoot toward the sky, reborn, determined never again to squander the light. Thank you. So I think the last piece of that might be literal because I was there still in New York when that happened. The thing that I want those of you who weren't there to know is that the trains were running again. All the trains except the one going to World Trade Center were running by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So to me as a New Yorker, what that says is that New York is an organism and it cannot be killed. You could blow up as many buildings as you want. It will continue to do what it does, and it did immediately, even as, you know, the smoke and the stench and everything was in people's noses and everything. Life continued and business continued and all those things kept going. It didn't stop us, and it won't. It won't. So the towers coming through the concrete again, that's what's going to continue to happen, but we're the towers too, you know, so. So anyway, I want to say thank you to all of you for your poetry, your energy, your time. Thank you to Tony Partington, my wife and co-host. Thank you to Leah Jackson for having us, wherever she is. And please make sure that you both cash out and tip Evan and Reed well. New Yorkers believe in tipping. I realize we're not in New York, but I'm passing that on to you. That's a good thing to do. Solidarity with the working man and all that. And one more time, let's please say a big thank you to our state poet laureate, Elizabeth Austen. Thank you so much. So I hope to see all of you on October 8th, and I almost forgot to mention that I have a monthly workshop that I do right next door at Niche. It's a suggested donation, which means if you can't pay or don't feel like paying, you can show up and do it anyway. And we're going to be here from noon to 2:30 on Saturday if you'd like to do some writing right next door. Also, to bring shareable snacks because the bar won't actually be open. We might be able to get a little coffee, but there won't be any food. So if you'd like to have something to eat, you bring something to share with the other people there. I would say on a great day, we have like 6 people, you know? So think about that range of 3 to 6 and we'll have a good time writing some poetry together. And yeah, I hope to see you again on October 8th. And if you're one of the people that's here for the first time, make sure that we get your email so that we can get you notices about the poetry readings happening here and all throughout this area. Thanks everybody, it was a great night.